sponsors, encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady ReShell.
Hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It's Testimonial Monday, and our topic for today is changing breast cancer narratives. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from the Drive at 5 with Roman. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, Rizal and I talked about the biggest mistakes that women make while dating. Go over to YouTube, type in Intellectual Radio, and stay connected for any episodes you may have missed. Our quote of the day is, when hope is in the equation, the odds don't matter. We are so grateful for our sponsors. We have Gloria Dotson with Mary Kay, and she's catering to all of your beauty needs from head to toe. Paula Kelly with Allstate, and she's fulfilling all of your insurance needs in one place. We have MyLeah Symone, who's one of our newest sponsors, and she is with Affordable Book Editing Services, and she is giving you quality editorial services without skimping on quality. So let's hear a word from our sponsors.
If you're looking for an affordable book editor, then look no further. I'm MyLeah Symone. I'm a freelance book editor, and I offer affordable book editing services such as proofreading and manuscript critiques. It's time to work with an editor who knows and loves stories. Head over to my website, www.myleahsymone.com, to book me today.
We also have Emanuel C.O.G.I.C with Pastor Michael Richardson, who's giving you your spiritual food every Sunday morning at 10:15 a.m. Make sure you go over to Facebook and get fed. So let's hear a word from Emanuel C.O.G.I.C.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson, and we're from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
If you are just tuning in, we are talking about changing breast cancer narratives. So do me a favor, like, share the show, invite somebody else in on the show so that they can get this valuable information. I'm going to introduce my special guest today. She is a wife, mother, educator, advocate, breast cancer survivor, and founder of Brown Women Pink. With this organization, she plans to change the narrative and help increase awareness, education, resources, promote preventive health, and funding. Providing this service to Black communities will help reduce the mortality rate in women of color. So welcome to Warriors Talk, Kelly LeSane. Hey, Kelly.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for hanging in there with us.
Sure.
I had jury duty today, and I got picked to be actually on the jury. I'm like, no, like I didn't think I was going to get picked. They came up there about 4:00 and they got all of the people that was left, and they said, okay, come downstairs. And we thinking we're going downstairs to get our checks. No, we went downstairs to be interviewed by the judge. And then right at 5:22, he called our names of the people that he was picking. I was one of those names. So I have to go back tomorrow at 10:30.
Oh,
So I'm excited
wow.
about it. I've done it before and I really enjoyed the experience. So I'm looking forward to it.
I've always gotten out of it.
Really?
always. My husband actually recently had jury duty, and I had sent him a little snippet, and I was like, because he has to work. So I was like, let me just, just tell them this. And he did, and he doesn't have to do it anymore. But actually, at this point in life, I'm looking forward to doing it.
I really enjoyed it. I did it maybe in 2012. I did it for a week. And let me tell you, it was very interesting. The judge he really impressed me. He introduced himself to us. He asked about us, and they fed us really good. So I was excited about that. So I'm looking forward to that on tomorrow.
Nice.
But I want to get into this topic today, changing breast cancer narratives. And you and I both know firsthand that sometimes the narratives do not fit or benefit, I should say, women of color. So I'm excited about what you're doing, everything that you're doing, Kelly. I'm excited about it. And let me say it's needed. Women of color need this. I really think that, we know people who are diagnosed with breast cancer, but it seems like more and more women are being diagnosed. So that lets us know that we still need to get the awareness out there. The education piece still needs to be out there because women are still being diagnosed. So I'm just excited about what you're doing. And so I want everybody to know what that is. So let's just dive right into your introduction, actually, Kelly, to breast cancer.
Well, thank you for having me again. Again, I'm Kelly LeSane. I am in South Florida. I live in Pompano Beach, Florida. I am a 14-year cancer survivor. At the time I was diagnosed, I was 26 years old. It was actually 4 months after my mom was diagnosed with cervical cancer. 4 months after she was diagnosed with stage 4 cervical cancer. So I ended up losing my mom within that same year, actually a few weeks after I had my surgery. So Brown Women Pink was something that has been in the works for a long time. Because I could never just jump out there because it's something that I'm very passionate about. I'm very sensitive about it. And it was just something that I didn't want to just do. I felt like when it was time for me to get out there and raise awareness and jump out there publicly, I wanted to be sure that I do it the right way because it's a sensitive topic.
I totally agree with you. There's so many different organizations out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to be specific in what you're doing and how you're doing it and know who you're targeting and know that what you're going to be doing is actually benefiting the people that need it. Yeah. It's so important than just being out there, and not really being effective. So,
my guess is anyone can raise money for it. Anyone can raise money for cancer research, right? We still don't have a cure. And I hate to sound harsh, but it's factual. We still don't have a cure for it. Many years ago, breast cancer wasn't as prominent in the Black community as it is today. White women still tend to get it at a more rapid, they get it faster than we do, but because we're detected later, we die, our mortality rate is higher. So with that being said, that to me is disturbing altogether. So my thing is if scientists know, if doctors know that the mortality rate in women of color are higher, what are we doing to change that?
That's a great question. When you look at all of the different advertisement and everything that they have out here as it relates to breast cancer, you really don't see us a lot present in those things, right? So that would lead someone to think that, it's not really prevalent in our community. But when it really is, and it's getting younger and younger, because you were diagnosed at a young age as well. So we don't want them to get the message that, oh no, because I'm too young, this is not going to happen to me. And because I'm African American, mainly I see in advertisement is Caucasian. So they're thinking, oh no, I don't have to worry about that. When indeed we do, because we know that we are dying at an alarming rate, and we don't have to.
Yeah, I just lost a young lady in August who I was silently advocating for. And she was 25. So she was a year younger than I was when I was diagnosed. And it was in that moment where I felt like, you know what? Okay, God, this year, this is the year. Because I had helped previous patients, but they were older. And it was a situation where, because they were older, I don't think it affected me as much as it did when that young lady passed away. That was so hurtful because she also had a little baby, and the baby, she will never, she's only going to have pictures, So it really affected me. I saw her picture just floating across social media, and I was like, you know what? Nope, this year. Because number one, I feel like if we have more organizations like Brown Women Pink, then it'll allow us, one, to learn more about it. We'll become more educated about it. That's the first thing. The second thing is teaching us what to do. Because from the age of 15, I started doing my own breast exams. I think it is important for young women to know that you should start that early. If I had not done that, I was the one that found my own lump. And because I created that habit after that one doctor's visit at the age of 15, and this doctor had no idea that was going to happen, but he told me to do it once a month after each menstrual. And so it became pretty much a habit. And I'm happy, I don't know if that doctor is still alive or anything, but I think I credit him for that because he taught me that. He told me that.
Wow. Breast self-help is so, care is so important. And once you get to know the look, the feel of your breast, then when something changes, then you will know right away that, okay, no, this is not supposed to be here. And then at that point, you can bring that up to your doctor and start advocating for yourself to see what's going on. But if you're not in a habit of doing those things, then you're not going to know. And then this could be the reason why, like a lot of, like Gaynell said, one reason is because in our community, we're diagnosed at a later stage, and early detection.
Yeah.
Early detection is still the key. It's still key.
Yeah. Early detection, because I found mine so early. In my group, I have so many women that say, they want to know the treatment processes. And to be honest with you, everyone has a different treatment plan. No one person is the same. I was very, very, like I said, I was young at the time. I was actually my doctor's youngest patient that he had ever had with breast cancer. And he had been in oncology for about 30 years at the time, he said.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I always say early detection plus action is key, because sometimes when people find out early, sometimes they're in denial about what's going on, and they haven't really taken the time to process what's going on. So sometimes they are running around trying to get all of these answers. And yes, you should get a second opinion.
Yeah.
So that you can, have peace. But sometimes I think people use it as a stall tactic, and then by the time they go back to the doctor, now you're not, it'll move different stages, because it depends on what type of cancer it is. It could be more aggressive. So I think when you get that early detection, then that's your time to get the information that you need so that you can make an informed decision on what type of treatment you're going to get, if you're going to get treatment.
Yeah. And I think, to be honest, it's so, like, for me, My medical team was amazing. They were so amazing that my doctor, he actually proposed that to me. He said, if you would like, by all means, please get a second opinion. And it was something about him saying that to me that struck me. And in that moment, I felt like, you know what? I don't think I need a second opinion. I think I trust what I felt. I think I trust the biopsy. And I think I will trust that you will do the right thing by me and my treatment plan. You know, like you say, you're right. A lot of women do use that as a stall tactic to process everything. But depending on how aggressive it is, you have to move quick. You have to move quick, because even though mine was small when I found it, by the time I had my surgery, and remind you, I put off my treatments to care for my mom. I wanted to make sure she was okay, and I just put off my treatments. And then she ended up passing away, and I started my treatments right after that. But by the time I started my treatments and everything, I had to have that surgery, because it was that within a 4 months time, it had moved from, because it was from July, I believe, to, no, not July, April to July. So within that time frame, it went from 1 to 2, just like that. So it was pretty rapid. So I had to have the procedure. So once I had the lumpectomy, following after my mom passed away, I ended up having the treatment plan started in August.
Wow. It moves quick. I don't think people really understand, like, and I know the cancer didn't get there overnight. So you should take some time to, figure out what it is that you want to do, because ultimately you have to live with this decision, and you want to make sure that it's the best decision. So you need to make sure that you're getting information from the right places to make that decision. Kenya says, even if you were diagnosed with the same thing, half of the time your treatment plan is going to be totally different.
Sure.
So don't compare yourself. Do not compare yourself to someone else, because your body may take the treatment differently from someone else, because sometimes you have underlying conditions that person may not.
Yeah, because like even I have a lot of women in my group who, for example, they take tamoxifen. And I remember right after I had finished radiation, that was the next thing for me to be put on tamoxifen for 5 years. And I did it. I tried it for a month. I did exactly as he took it as instructed and everything. And by the time I went for my next visit, he said, I have to take you off tamoxifen. And I said, why? I thought you told me I have to take it. Survival rate up to 5 years, that type of thing. He said, because your body's not responding to it. He said, you don't need tamoxifen. And I was, of course, nervous, because I'm like, wait, you telling me this get extended, extend my life. I want to, take it. And he was like, nope. He said, I don't know what kind of body you have, but he said, you don't need the tamoxifen. And I was like, okay, if you say so. But he was right. Again, 14 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would you say, Kelly, was one of the most difficult times in your journey?
My mom. Battling cancer. My mom battling cancer. Not sure how long she was going to be here. Yeah, that was the toughest thing, to be going through something like that. And my mom's fighting for her life at the same time. It was traumatic. I think that's one of the it's probably one of the worst experiences I've had. I think you could get through a lot of things, but something like that, it'll change your life forever. But the one thing that I kept with me is the fact that my mom said that I was going to be all right. And she said to me, she's like, when she felt the lump, she says, oh no, you're going to be fine. And in my head, I'm like, how does she know? We're both, But again, I guess that's where the mom instinct comes in, right? And so she was right, and she told me I would beat it, and I did. And I'm grateful, but that was the most difficult, knowing that I was going through this terrible illness, and then knowing that I was losing my mom in the process. That was I think that was the hardest fight I have had in life.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard for you to really concentrate on you, because you feel kind of guilty trying to concentrate on yourself, knowing that you have to deal with this when she's over here really fighting for her life. And so you have to make that choice. Like, let me just make sure mom is okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll worry about me, because you already got the confirmation that you were going to be okay. And
yeah.
So
and honestly, that's how I took it. I felt like, I think if I felt like it was going to really take me out, I probably would have been, I wouldn't have stalled my treatments, of course, because at the time I had a 6-year-old. So I wouldn't have done it. But because I felt like what she was going through, it sounds weird, doesn't it? But I felt like it was more severe. So I felt like I needed to do what I know she would have done. And that's how I took it. I handled it just like that.
And she needed you. In that moment, she needed you to be there.
Yeah.
And had you not been there, you probably would have regretted it. Like, man, I could have, so you did what you were supposed to do. You were there for her.
Sure.
And she was there for you when she needed to take care of you. And then that was your chance to not really repay her, but to do what you wanted to do for your mom.
Of course.
I commend you on that, because that seems really heavy. Just you saying it seems really heavy for someone to be, especially at your young age, to have to deal with something like that.
Yeah.
And just to see you on the other side, here you are 14 years later, and after your battle with cancer, and it's just like, girl, you're the true definition of what a warrior is. And then here you are, not only are you educating and giving back to other individuals, but you want to make sure that women have what they need when they're going through their cancer journeys. Not just the education piece, but financially, we go through, and sometimes you don't know where to get that from. You don't know where it is. Sometimes it's word of mouth, but to know that you have a support system so where you can count on individuals.
And I think that's why support groups are so important. And Brown Women Pink, I think it provides that, because you have so many different women in the group that have so much knowledge. See, during the time when I was going through it, my doctor recommended a support group. He's a Jewish guy. He recommended 2 support groups. He told me to see which one. And at that time, I saw no one that looked like me. I was like, okay, like, what do I do? The things they were talking about, I couldn't relate. I couldn't understand. Only thing I knew is we all had breast cancer, right? Some of them were in there and they had family members. It was family members that were affected by it. But it was just one of those things where I just felt like, why don't we have something for us? And year after year after year and year after research, I was like, why don't we have something for us? You could count on maybe one hand of how many African-American or Black, if you will, organizations that we have. One of my members of the group, she said that in her state, she looked all over for a support group for women of color. And she said she found one that was inactive, and then she found another one that was active, but it was at a distance. So she resorted to social media to see if she could find some online. And that's where she ended up running into a few of them on social media.
Wow. How important is it, Kelly, to be around the support when people look like you?
I hate to say it, but women of color, we're very prideful. We have a different kind of strength. We show a different kind of love. We have a way of when we are around our people, we are more relaxed. We're more willing and able to talk about things that we normally wouldn't talk about with other people. And honestly, in my group, it has provided that. I've joined other groups as well, and I also see it in those groups. But the thing about Brown Women Pink is I wanted to change the lens of breast cancer. I want people to know that you could still feel good. You could still be pretty. We have something as Black women that other women don't necessarily have like we have. We could change our hair. We could wear our weaves. I remember when the lace fronts came out, they became really popular in 2007, and I just didn't use them because I was already wearing the regular wigs. And now that I see what they're doing with the lace front, I'm like, oh man, I would have killed the game back then. But but it's so many different things. We're more relatable. And like, I have a lot of women in the group that are even traveling during the process of it all and taking pictures and showing that they're still living in the fight, because there's life in the fight too. And we can't forget that. And sometimes it's so easy to soak into what's going on with us. It's so easy to say, to cry. It's so easy to feel like no one understands. It's so easy to become frustrated. But the point of Brown Women Pink is you could do all of that, but you got to get back up. You got to get back up. You're in a fight. You got to still live. You have family. And I just think even when you're in a fight, it's not just you. It's the people that you love. They're fighting with you. So I think with a support group with women of color, we're more relatable. And people like what's relatable. People gravitate to what's relatable.
With that being said, Kelly, what is your definition of survivorship?
Survivorship. Whew. Survivorship. My goodness. For all those battle scars we have, right? Whether it's physical, emotional, mental, we survived it. We don't survive anything without faith, though. We serve a higher power. I always feel like you're more stronger when you have God, when you're connected with God. And survivorship is after the storm. It's after the storm. Your life completely changes after that. My life has never been the same since that experience. And I think if people change the way they think, they can get through it. It's life after breast cancer. That's all a part of survivorship. Just getting out of the fight. And when you get out, don't forget to reach back, because there's somebody back there that needs you. That's survivorship.
Totally agree. Kenya says living every day with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Your life it takes on a different meaning.
Yeah.
Just totally different. And some people look at you after the journey and it's like, wow, you don't know what you've been through.
Yeah.
Gaynell said, yes, you have a new normal.
You do. Life is never the same. And I, like I said, I just feel like you got to reach back. You have to reach back, give somebody else a hand, help them up, uplift them, inspire them, help educate them, and help them help you to grab some more. And that's where we start building the community and our sisterhoods. That's where it starts.
It's so needed.
Yeah.
Even now, even you thinking in 2021, we should be way farther than we are as it relates to cancer.
Yeah.
Not having a cure. So since we know we don't have a cure, then we should be doing other things to make sure that people are aware of the different types of breast cancer that is out here,
Yeah.
the different ways that you can do the annual exam, you doing your monthly exam, you go and get your mammogram when it's time, or if you're younger and you find something, advocate for yourself.
Yes.
Or pull somebody in with you to help you advocate. Like, they shouldn't have to feel like they're alone or they're ashamed or hiding this. Oh, I don't want to know. It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be, I don't want to know. I don't want to touch my breast because I don't want to know. This should never be that. And I agree, the sisterhood is so important.
It's important. It's important. And I think the one thing that I did see, if I have to be very honest, because I'm pretty observant, I go from group to group and I do a lot of analyzation. And I took a course actually over the summer, a 10-week course that helped me better search for my audience. And as I go into the groups, Caucasian groups, the one thing that I noticed that I feel like and it's a prayer, I hope we get better at as women of color, is not being afraid to say what's wrong with you. When I go into the other groups, and I'm very active in those groups as well, but when I go into those groups, they actually talk. They talk about it. They talk about it. They talk about the raw. They talk about the goodness. They talk about when they have the good days. They talk about everything, and they just talk it out. And when you talk it out and you get it out, it makes you feel better. I didn't have that available to me. I wish I had it, but I didn't have it at that time.
Do you feel like as African-American women, that we're getting to that point to where we can be vulnerable and be real about, what we're feeling, what we're going through, so that somebody who may be just entering this battle, they can see it? Because it's not all about pink ribbons. It's not all about, the color pink.
No.
Sometimes it gets ugly.
It does. I actually told one of my girls in the group, one of my ladies in the group, that today, because she had a lot of questions. She's newly diagnosed. And one thing that I told her, I said, it's a process. It's a process. And the only thing I could tell you is that you're going to be new when it's over. And new in a good way.
Yes. I totally agree. And don't let anyone make you feel bad because you're a totally different person. That person don't even exist anymore.
No.
It just don't exist.
True.
Don't apologize for it. Just embrace that new person.
Yeah. And the one thing that I just want the women to know as well is, like you said, there are going to be not so pretty times. It's not just about pink. You're going to lose your hair. You're going to lose eyebrows. Your lashes going to go. But the one thing I take from that, and I've learned from that, is it all grows back. It grows back. So I always say that's the least of your problems, because you want to feel pretty for the day, you go to a makeup artist. You want to get your hair done, somebody could do your weave, So to me, I think that's the least of the problem. I think it's important to check your inner self, check your mental, because I think that time is a time of renovation. That's what chemo and radiation does. It breaks your body down and builds you back up. Condition your mind. It's renovation. You're going to be new after that.
Yeah, embrace it. Kenya says they have a cure. It's just that they don't want to release it, because if they release it, it means that there would be no more money for them to make.
Well, that's what any cancer. That's what any cancer. It's better for them to treat it, as you mentioned, because it does keep. Someone says you look at life totally differently, but yeah, you that's what any cancer though. I think they have a cure for a good amount of them, but the money market is treating it. That's it, just treating it, not curing it. So that's why when they say let's raise money to cancer research, we've been raising money.
I'm tired.
Right? We've been raising money already. So what comes after that? What are we doing after that? More breast cancer walks? I think we got to check our community first. You know, we have to deal with ourselves first, because guess what? When they're doing the trials and all of that stuff, they're not in our communities. They're not in our communities. They're in the predominantly white communities, right? They're in the areas where the money is. And half the time our people, we don't know, you know? So when they're doing those trials and things like that, we need to get more involved in clinical trials. We just don't, because we're least informed. So how do we change that? Well, that's where Brown Women Pink comes in. I do all my research. My next thing is to start getting in the faces of the people and start talking about it.
We have to educate. When you get the information, I always say each one teach one. So once you get that information, don't hold that information. Somebody else out here can benefit from that information, and you never know who life you may be saving by sharing that information. Sometimes we get information and we don't like to share it. We don't want to share it with people. We want to hold on to it because, I don't know, it makes us feel a certain way.
Well, you know what? I think I see it in the Caucasian groups. That's how I know this stuff. And then I take what they say and then I research it. And then I take what they say and then I go to medical doctors and I talk about it. So the thing is I think it's us. It starts with us, women of color. We have to, it's okay to have pride, because I think we all have it, but you have to know when to use it. That's something that has stemmed from generations. We're just built strong. We always got to be so strong. We want people to feel like we're okay, even if we're not. And it's just a face. It's a face that we put on to hide how we're really feeling. But I think that is something that we also need to work on, because that's when the healing process starts for everything, not just cancer. You just have to know when to use it. And something such as a support group and raising awareness, I think in those groups, you can't afford to have pride because everybody's going through it.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's one of my points about being vulnerable and letting people see what we're going through. Yeah, we talk about, I'm a survivor. I'm on the opposite end of, treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And then people think that this is a pretty walk.
Yeah.
And it's not. It really isn't. And I think part of the narratives out there is that they focus on the survivor stories. That's what they focus on. They don't really get the in-between stories or the stories that don't end well. They just like to hear, okay, they survived. But it's more to it than just that. It's a lot that goes into that surviving. What did that actual woman had to do to go through it?
Yeah.
Because that next person that's coming behind them, when they're going through it, they're gonna feel like, oh wow, I really feel like I can't make it. They may be on the verge of suicide and not know that the person before you went through it, and guess what? She made it.
She
But
made it.
sometimes we make it look so pretty. And not us in general, but we make it seem like it's just so pretty, but it really isn't. It changes you.
It changes you. It really does. And I think, like I said, I think it's important that when we're going through it, you do have to go through it. You got to go through it. I mean, listen, it was times that once I put my daughter down for the night for her bedtime, then it's me. And remind you, I worked the entire time. I would go to chemo and go right back to the office. I worked the entire time. I was still a mom. I was in school, and then I had to stop going to school because that's just how real everything got at that time. So, but overall, I still had my daughter. So once I put her down for the night, there were times I was crawling just to get in the shower. These are things that people, they don't get to see. They see you the next day and they think you're fine. Those phone calls when nobody calls to check on you to see how you're getting through, sometimes they don't even know what you just got through. And sometimes we don't share, right?
That's true. That's true.
That's because it gets that ugly, right?
Was there a why me moment, Kelly?
Oh boy. Nah. It was, you know what? During that time, and I always like to say my 26-year-old brain, during that time, oh girl, that doctor told me I had cancer, and I was like, so what I got a 6-year-old, what we're about to do. And that's how I approached it. And he said, well, did you hear what I just told you? And I said, I understand that, but my mom is sick and my mom is dying. And I have a 6-year-old. So the only thing I get to focus on at this point is what can you do to help me? That's all I want to know. And the doctor looked at me, a tear fell, and he said, wow. That was it. I didn't get a chance to cry. I didn't get a chance to mourn my mom.
Because you went right into taking care of your cancer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever seek out any type of professional help? Like a counselor or a therapist?
I should have. But because I worked, I was a single mom at the time. I had the 6-year-old at the time. I should have. I needed it.
What did Kelly do to release? Because, it can be stressful.
My girlfriends, they kept me busy. Yeah, those girls kept me busy. But then they also knew when to leave me alone. And I think that's important too. Sometimes you need to just be. But I didn't allow myself to, I had my daughter, so I really didn't allow myself to be alone all the time because I felt like it would make me think too much. And I had already been going through it with my mom. And I think that's why I continued to work, because I didn't want to think. I didn't want to think about what was going on. And I didn't want to feel sorry for myself. I still had my daughter, and then my sister at the time, I believe she was 21, something like that. I still had her. And I'm the oldest. So I kind of just always wanted to be strong. I wanted my daughter to see me, and my sister to just always see me as being a strong woman.
How old was your daughter when you were diagnosed?
6.
Wow. And then you have a son, but the son came after.
Yeah, he came, some years later. That was 2007. so he came in 2013.
See, that's important to know.
And I actually was told I couldn't have any more children. I was told that. And yeah, that was scary.
And that's important to know, because a lot of young women that are being diagnosed, they may not know what their options are as it relates to, if they don't have a family already. So that may be a conversation that, you need to start with your doctor right away. If they say that you're diagnosed and you want to have some kids, have that conversation. If you want to have kids, to see what are your options that you can do so that you can have them. And Kelly is a living testimony. She had a baby after going through all of that. She still had a child.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think that is so important. And I love that about my doctor, because he always told me when I left my appointments, make sure if you have anything for your next visit to write them down. So make sure I just would say to the audience, make sure you write your stuff down. Those questions that you think of that you may not be able to remember when you go back to write them down. I think it too depends on the type of breast cancer that you've had. Like for me, after that, I couldn't take birth control pills. And if I did, I had to take the ones that were, I think it's copper, that have the copper, I guess it's a form of IUD, but I never took it because they told me I couldn't, and I was like, okay, well, all right. But then you meet a man and he wants another baby, and so you give the man a child, and God saw fit, and that's what happened. But I will say the key thing, and I will put a pin there, is it really does depend on the type of breast cancer that you have. So, but it's still very good to get clarity from your doctor to see if that applies to you.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And that's part of doing your research.
Yeah.
And getting that information up front, so you'll know what your options are.
Sure.
What you need to do. So that I agree, that's totally some very important information, because women are being diagnosed much younger.
Yeah.
My next question is, Kelly, a lot of times we change our eating habits, we change our diets once we're done with treatment. Was that one of your things that you focused on, that you're working on now?
During that time, I was always very small. After I had my son, you see my cheeks. Okay. So, but I was always very small. And honestly, if I could be really, really honest, during that time, when the treatments was over, weirdly, my whole eating changed without me doing it. It just happened. And I remember I lost a lot of weight. And to me, it felt really good. But at the same time, I remember that time of losing a lot of weight. And I really wasn't sure why, but my whole eating everything had changed. I cut sugars out totally without, it wasn't a diet. It certainly wasn't a diet. It was just something that just happened right after treatment. It wasn't something that I was like, oh, I need to lose weight. Oh, I need to eat healthy. It's just something that just happened right after treatment.
Wow. Do you have any other information that you want to give the listening audience about your organization, how they can join?
Yes. You can join me on Facebook. It's Brown Women Pink. Breast cancer support. What is it? I think it's breast cancer awareness and support group on Facebook. And Instagram, you can join me on there, but it's not it's not like Facebook. Facebook is the actual support group. And oh my God, the women in there are amazing. And you'll get what you need in there. And there are other groups, but you also will get what you need out of Brown Women Pink. You'll see the good, the bad, and indifferent.
Totally agree. So give everybody some words of wisdom as it relates to changing that breast cancer narrative.
Oh boy, words of wisdom. To change the narrative of breast cancer, You have to become more informed. You have to become more informed. Do your own research. You have to help raise awareness. You have to be able to talk about it. You have to be the change that you want to see in the community. You have to be able to know how to pray. You have to know how to pray. And you have to understand that not everyone is going to come out of it, but most people can. And I think when we're more honest with ourselves, the better we are. And the more you can help other people. Don't forget to reach back when you come out of it. That's how we make the change in our communities. Don't be afraid to reach back. You got to go back. It's too many of us, and it's getting younger and younger and younger. And I read somewhere in another group that one young lady was diagnosed and she's 19. So in order for us to move forward, again, we have to be the change that we want to see. We can't just let it affect us and we come out of it and you be the same. If you go back to being the same, you didn't learn anything. We don't go through this for us. We don't go through this for the why me. We go through this because God put it on us so that we could be a testimony to others. Don't have something that God has put on you that's so significant that you don't share. You do us a disservice when you don't. We have to reach back. That's my word.
Those are some awesome words of wisdom. Thank you for that. I just want to recognize Kenya Brown, because Kenya is one of those people that are doing exactly what you're doing. She's doing it in our community with We Care 2 agency, to where she's reaching back. She's feeding the homeless. She's spreading awareness, just all of it, like in the community, present in the community. And she's doing exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We didn't go through this journey just to sit and close our mouths and not share it, not to reach back. It's so important for us to do what God purposed us to do. And sometimes you go through things for a reason. He has to qualify you. I see it as he's qualifying you. There's no way that you will be able to testify and be able to, give people this information if you didn't go through the test. So he qualified you so that you can go out there and do the work. And so I commend you, Kelly. I commend Kenya and all the individuals and organizations that are out there that are really present in the community. And like you said something really important. You have to know your community so that you know what the community needs. And then you can cater your business, your organization on what that community needs.
What the need is. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's important. The care packages are important. I think, and what I'm working on currently, I was working on it back in 2019, and then boom, COVID hit and it kind of threw everything off. But the other thing that's in the work is free mammograms in the community. I'm going to get with this hospital in Boca and see if they would like to come to our communities to do free mammograms for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Another thing is getting with the doctor's offices and seeing if we could get mammograms at a lower cost for people who either don't have insurance or, people that have insurance but still can't, that's just not affordable for them. So I want to be able to do that as well, because early detection is the best thing. So I think it trumps everything else, because we first got to make sure that they know that self-exams are important. Do your monthly exams after your period. You could do it in the shower, which is a good way to do it. A way I normally do it. when I found out I had it, I had forgot to do it in the shower, but my daughter was gone for the weekend with her father. And I said, okay, I'm laying on the floor and I'm watching TV, and I threw my arm back and I went to examine, and boom, I found something. And that's that one time I missed it in the shower. So you can do it laying down flat. You could do it in the shower. You also can, if it's a genetic thing, where it runs in your family, you can, I think they say now, I think it's age 35, you can actually request to have it done, because if it's genetic, they'll do your mammograms. So it's an array of things and an array of knowledge out there that our listeners need to know. You got to do the research, check your communities, go to your outreach program, see what they have available, but don't neglect yourself because of health insurance. It's so many resources out there. If you don't have no health insurance, trust me, there's an organization somewhere that has money that can help you out with your treatment plans, your mammograms, and all of that. The funding is out there.
I totally agree with that. Kelly, when you think of the word warrior, what comes to mind?
Me.
Yes.
Courageous, strong, worthy, God-fearing, conqueror.
Love it.
Yeah.
Kelly, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on and just being vulnerable, sharing your wisdom, your experiences. And I'm grateful for everything that you do. I'm going to encourage you to keep doing it, because it is so needed in our community of color.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you taking out the time, reaching out to me. I don't know how you found me, but I'm happy you found me. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I hope we can keep in touch. For your listeners, again, if you want to be a part of our breast cancer awareness support group on Facebook, it is Brown Women Pink. We would love to have you. We're actually doing something that's really cool. We're doing a gift exchange for the holidays. So we're partnering up, and the ladies in the group, they're just gifting each other for the holidays. Little things like that is a big deal. So if you want a sisterhood, come join us.
Yes, it means a lot. Thank you so much. I will leave you guys with these words of wisdom. The storm doesn't always come to kill you. Sometimes it comes to clear your path so you can walk into your God-ordained destiny. So join me next Monday right here at 6 p.m. on Intellectual Radio. As always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.
Yes.